Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Always exciting.
Today, we're going to be looking at how to face those times when things get tough.
Yeah.
And we're getting some guidance on this from a pretty interesting source,
Oh,
a Filipino devotional website called Our Daily Bread.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And, you might think, devotional, what's that got to do with me? But stick with us
Right, exactly.
because the insights here, they really go beyond any specific religion.
That's what's so cool about these kinds of sources sometimes,
Absolutely. And the way they use this analogy of crossing a busy intersection to talk about life's challenges, brilliant.
Yeah, that really grabbed me too.
So the specific piece we're looking at is from February 13th, 2025.
Okay.
Now, I got to admit, when I first saw that date, I was like, wait, hold on. Is this some kind of futuristic devotional?
Yeah, I can see that.
But then I realized it's Ash Wednesday.
In 2025, right?
Exactly. So for some Christian traditions,
Yeah.
this is the beginning of Lent.
A time for, facing those personal struggles.
And that actually adds a whole other layer of meaning to this message about resilience.
For sure it does.
Okay, so let's jump into this intersection analogy.
All right.
The devotional starts off with a story about the author's friend who used to be terrified
Oh, no.
of crossing intersections.
Seriously?
Like absolutely terrified.
Wow.
They would wait for other people to start crossing and then just follow them.
I can kind of relate to that feeling, like when you're not sure which way to go.
Totally. And I think intersections are such a perfect symbol for
Yeah.
those times in life where we feel overwhelmed. You've got all these paths converging,
Yeah.
decisions to make, traffic coming at you from all directions.
There's a lot to process.
It is. And the devotional makes this point that fear is totally normal.
Makes sense.
Like nobody's born knowing how to navigate those metaphorical intersections perfectly.
It's something you learn as you go.
Exactly. And the key takeaway here,
What's that?
we don't have to do it alone.
I like that.
And that brings us to the heart of the devotional's message, which is rooted in
Okay.
a passage from the Bible, Psalm 118,
Somebody.
specifically verses 5-7,
Okay.
where the writer's talking about feeling surrounded, overwhelmed by challenges.
I was just reading that the other day.
Really?
Yeah, and it struck me how relevant it still is today.
Totally. But it's not just a lament.
No, not at all.
There's this powerful shift
What happens?
where the psalmist finds strength, courage through prayer, through faith, through realizing they're not alone in this.
Powerful stuff.
It is. And you know what's fascinating about this?
Ooh.
Even from a psychological standpoint,
Okay.
research shows that a sense of symbolic support,
What do you mean?
like having faith in a cause or a community, can actually trigger the release of oxytocin.
Oh, wow. The bonding hormone.
Exactly. Reduces stress, creates a sense of connection.
It's like a biological basis for that feeling of support.
Kinda. Yeah. So even if you're not religious, finding something you believe in, something bigger than yourself, can actually have a measurable impact on your well-being.
I love that.
It's so cool how this devotional takes this ancient text and makes it so relevant
For sure.
to our modern lives.
Right.
And speaking of modern life, the devotional goes on to list all these everyday challenges that people might be going through.
Oh, hey, like what?
Things like starting a new job,
Yeah.
moving to a new city,
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
dealing with health issues,
Definitely.
relationship changes,
It happens to all of us.
financial worries.
Oh, don't remind me.
All those things we've probably all experienced at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
And then it asks the reader, which of these resonates with your current situation?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It is, right?
It makes you think.
Yeah, it's a really smart way of prompting self-reflection and encouraging the listener to find their own personal intersection that they might be struggling to navigate.
Like saying, hey, you're not alone in this.
Exactly. We all face these challenges.
Because sometimes it feels like everybody else has it figured out,
Right,
and
it's
you're
not-
the only one who's struggling.
Totally. Like that feeling of, okay, everybody else seems to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm over here freaking out.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
But this devotional saying,
Yeah.
that's just not true.
Right?
Everyone has those moments of uncertainty, those metaphorical intersections where they feel lost or overwhelmed.
We've all been there.
And I think what's really comforting is the message that it's okay to ask for help, to lean on something bigger than yourself for support.
Yeah. And that doesn't have to be a religious thing, right?
Right, exactly. The devotional obviously frames it in terms of turning to God for guidance, but that higher power could be anything.
Like what?
Anything that gives you a sense of perspective,
Okay.
a sense of purpose, a sense of strength beyond your immediate worries.
I like that a lot.
So it could be nature art, a scientific principle,
Yeah.
a community. You belong to anything that inspires a sense of awe
Wow. Yeah.
and reminds you that you're part of something bigger.
That's a great way to put it.
And it's not just about finding that internal strength or external support.
Okay.
The devotional goes a step further
Oh, really?
and encourages us to actually share those experiences of support and kindness we've received.
Like tell our stories.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And what's interesting about that, the devotional highlights how sharing our stories of overcoming challenges
Yeah.
can actually rewire our brains.
Rewire our brains.
Focus on the positive.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's like a scientifically backed way to boost resilience.
So it's not just touchy-feely. It's actually good for you.
It really is. And it's like when we share our stories, we're not just helping others feel less alone.
Right?
We're actually helping ourselves process those difficult emotions
Okay.
and find solutions.
So it's a win-win.
Totally. So it's not just about feeling good.
Uh-huh.
Sharing actually builds resilience.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, there are practical ways.
Like what?
Have you ever tried journaling about your challenges?
You know, I haven't really, but
They're like having a conversation with yourself.
Okay.
They can help you sort through things and find solutions.
I might have to try that.
It's a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
It allows you to process those challenging emotions in a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're ready,
Yeah.
you can share those experiences with others.
Because sometimes you just need to hear someone else say,
What?
hey, I've been there too.
Exactly.
Here's how I got through it.
It's powerful, right?
It really is. There's something about that shared experience that makes you feel less alone.
Absolutely.
It reminds you that we're all in this together.
And it gives you permission to reach out for help,
Exactly.
to connect with others who might be going through something similar.
It's like building a community of resilience.
I love that.
Me too.
It's like we're creating this collective wisdom bank,
I love that.
where we can all deposit our experiences and then withdraw support when we need it.
That's such a good way to think about it.
And it makes me think about the source itself.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're talking about a devotional website here.
Right.
Something people turn to for inspiration and a sense of community.
That's true.
So the context of where this message is coming from
Yeah.
actually reinforces the message itself.
Interesting.
Because if you're already seeking out a devotional, you're probably open to the idea of finding strength in faith or in something bigger than yourself.
Right.
And the act of sharing your story then becomes another way to connect with that community.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Totally.
The more you share, the more connected you feel.
Yeah.
And the more connected you feel, the more resilient you become.
Okay, so we've unpacked this analogy of the intersection, talked about finding strength in faith or something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
And the power of sharing our experiences.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
What is?
How do we actually take all of this wisdom and apply it to our own lives?
Right.
I think it starts with recognizing those intersections
Okay.
in our own lives.
Like, what do you mean?
What are those moments, those decisions, those challenges that just feel
Overwhelming.
Yes, exactly.
Those times when you feel stuck,
Yeah.
unsure of which way to go.
Exactly.
And you know what's funny?
What?
Sometimes we don't even realize we're at an intersection
Oh, yeah.
until we're right in the middle of it.
It's like, bam.
Yeah,
It is. Isn't it? You're freaking out.
totally. It's like, wait,
Yeah.
why am I suddenly panicking about this presentation I have to give next week?
It sneaks up on you.
It does.
We're just going along on autopilot.
Right.
And then suddenly this wave of anxiety or uncertainty.
Correctly. So the first step is just awareness,
Awareness. Yeah.
just recognizing those intersections when they pop up. And then once we've identified them,
Okay.
that's when we can start tapping into those sources of strength,
Right. Whatever those are for you.
whether it's a higher power,
Yeah.
a community.
The deep-seated belief in yourself.
Yeah, that inner strength.
Whatever gives you that sense of grounding
Yeah.
and resilience.
I remember this one time I was facing a really tough career decision.
Oh, yeah.
I felt completely lost.
I've been there.
Didn't know who to turn to.
What did you do?
And then I remember this quote
Oh, yeah.
by this philosopher I really admire.
Who was it?
I can't remember his name right now,
That's okay.
but it was something like,
Okay.
the only way out is through.
Hmm.
And for some reason, those words just really resonated with me.
It's amazing how sometimes a simple phrase
I know, right?
or idea can just have such a profound impact.
It was like a lifeline.
Wow.
It gave me the courage to keep moving forward,
Yeah.
even though I was scared.
I get it.
And that's the beauty of having those sources of inspiration. Whether it's a quote, a song,
A piece of art.
yeah, spiritual practice.
They can provide that little boost when you need it most.
But it's not always easy to access that strength, is it?
You're right.
Especially when you're feeling really overwhelmed.
Absolutely. There are times when even faith feels out of reach.
Yeah.
And that's when it's so crucial to remember
Right.
that we're not alone.
I think that's such an important message.
What is?
Because it's so easy to get caught up in your own head and think that you're the only one struggling.
Totally.
But the truth is,
What?
everyone faces challenges.
Everyone, yeah.
Everyone has those moments of doubt and fear.
That's part of being human.
It is. And that's why sharing our stories is so powerful.
Right. Because when we hear someone else say,
Yeah.
hey, I've been there too,
It makes you feel less alone.
it does. It's like this reminder
Yeah.
that we're all in this together.
And it gives you permission to reach out for help,
Exactly.
to connect with others who might be going through something similar.
I used to be really hesitant to share my struggles.
Really?
I thought it made me seem weak or vulnerable.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. But what I've learned is that vulnerability is actually a strength.
How so?
It takes courage to open up and share your true self
I guess that's true.
with others.
Yeah.
And when we do that,
Yeah.
we create space for genuine connection.
Which can be really healing,
It is.
empowering.
Absolutely.
And that's what builds resilience.
Yeah.
Not just the ability to bounce back from adversity,
Right.
but the ability to connect with others
Yeah.
and find strength in community.
That's what it's all about.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into facing challenges and building resilience, I'm curious,
Yeah.
what are some practical tips
Okay.
people can use to actually start sharing their stories in a way that feels safe and authentic?
That's a great question.
Because it's one thing to say, share your story,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to actually do it.
It can be hard.
It can be really hard.
So I think the first step
Yeah.
is to find your people.
Your people.
Yeah. Your trusted circle.
Okay.
Whether that's a close friend, a family member, a therapist, or even an online community
Right.
where you feel comfortable being vulnerable.
It doesn't have to be this big grand announcement on social media.
No, not at all.
It can start small.
Yeah,
Just sharing with one person you trust.
exactly. And remember, sharing isn't about burdening others or seeking pity.
Right.
It's about connecting with that shared human experience
Okay.
and realizing that you're not alone in your struggles. It's about finding strength and vulnerability.
I love that because I think sometimes we worry that sharing our struggles will make us seem weak.
Yeah,
But actually, it takes a lot of strength and courage
it does.
to open up and say, hey, this is hard for me.
It really does. And you know what? Sometimes the act of sharing
Yeah.
can actually spark a ripple effect.
Oh, wow.
Someone might hear your story and feel empowered to share their own,
Okay.
which then helps someone else, and so on.
So it's like paying it forward.
Yeah,
Throwing it
exactly.
to the
We
side.
create this chain reaction of support
Mhm.
and understanding.
Just by being open and honest
Right.
about our own experience.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
It is.
So as we close out this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave you with a question to ponder.
Right.
Think about a current challenge you're facing,
Mm-hmm.
a personal intersection you're navigating.
Okay.
What higher power can you draw upon for support?
Good question.
And who can you reach out to
Yeah.
to share your experience and connect with?
Because remember,
Yeah.
you're not alone in this journey.
And maybe, just maybe, by sharing your story,
Mm-hmm.
you'll help someone else find their way
Okay.
through their own intersection.
That's a powerful thought.
It's all about building that collective resilience one story at a time.
I went into this deep dive a little skeptical. Not sure what we'd uncover from a Filipino devotional website.
Yeah.
But I'm genuinely surprised by how relatable and insightful the message is.
Me too.
It's a great reminder that wisdom can come from unexpected places
That's so true.
and that we all have the power to build resilience, both for ourselves and for others.
Beautifully said.
This has been The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting.
And keep diving deep.